You are now locked in and listening to The Issue.
This guy is a franchise quarterback, and no, I don't want to hear any pushback on that.
It feels like a top 10 roster to me. It feels like it can win a championship.
This is The Issue.
Yo, what's up? We are back. It is The Issue. It is Thursday, November 24th. Happy Thanksgiving. We are back. It has been 2 weeks since we put out an episode. So we are indeed back finally.
That's my bad. I'll take that.
In the middle of football season. I mean, that's tough. That's tough.
I
apologize.
didn't plan the date, all right? Okay.
No. And we weren't supposed to have 2 weeks off. It was originally just supposed to be one. We were going to let you know about it the first week that we missed, but then, due to flights, weather stuff, you had to go a little bit early.
Which sucked, by the way. It was working till late. I think I got off at like 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Found out around 9 that I was, flying out the next morning at 6.
Right.
So, not ideal, but...
if you were able
feels good to be back, though.
To see the TikToks, stay up to date on YouTube, we did, keep our picks up to date. I won one of the weeks. You won one of the weeks. It's 7-4 now. You're up. You're still up 3 games, but I gained one on the time off.
I'll be getting another one this week. I feel really good about my picks.
Yeah.
Obviously, for the games
so we got all
starting
the
here pretty
yeah.
soon. We got the game starting here pretty soon, and then obviously the night games. There's 3 today, and then obviously this Sunday games as well. So
only 7 games in the 1 o'clock window on Sunday, so there will be no Octo Box on Red Zone. I am heartbroken about it.
That's tough.
But this show,
quad box. There'll be a couple good quad boxes, though, I'd imagine.
It's nothing like the Octo Box.
No, nothing's like the Octo Box. I mean, it's not. It won't be the same witching hour. I get it. It's okay, though.
And then for this show, though, we have your rant on the Steelers to start off. And then we will have hits and misses to close out the first segment. In the second segment, we will have all of the Week 11 review from the big games, big stories. And then we will have our top 10 teams in the NFL going into Week 12. So being able to take a little bit more of the season into account will be good. And then in the third segment, we will predict everything for Week 12 and Week 12 bets on a budget to finish it off.
Yeah, it feels good to be back. I mean, it sucks that it's super cold because, it came from Mexico, and now it's really, really cold, right? But so I'm watching the game on Sunday, and I was about this close to giving up on Kenny Pickett, like so close. I'm like, oh, he's not that accurate, his arm's not that big, and he's not really moving as good as I thought he would. But then I took a breath, right, and I realized that there's still so much time, first of all. And then I also realized, I looked at a stat, he's like top 5 in the league right now against the blitz. He's completing like 68% of his throws. Against the blitz, I think it's even higher. I think it's like 72. So there's some special there. Like that's a Mahomes stat. Like I'm not talking he's Mahomes, but like that's kind of a Mahomes stat, right? The good ones are really good against the blitz. So that's good to see. I also realized that he might be dealing with the biggest bozo I've ever seen in the entire world of football. And it like makes me sick to even utter his name, Matt Canada. Like I like cringe. And it's because there's no rhythm, there's no common sense to the Steelers offense. That's what bugs me, right? Steelers come out with a great first half. They put up 20 in the first half. Right? So just people were like, oh, 20. Like Mahomes can put up 20 in like 5 minutes, right? Put into perspective for this Steelers team. That's more than or equal to the full game totals for 8 of the 9 first games of the season. Oh, and by the way, the one that they went above 20, they got 23 points. Oh, hey, look out. Right, look out. In one half, they got what we've gotten the entire game, 8 of the 9 first weeks. So how does Matt Canada respond, right? Going to half, we're feeling great. Best half of the year, best damn near game of the year, and it's only halfway done, right? How do we respond? By doing the exact opposite thing that worked. Najee was running fantastic off left tackle. The play where he actually hurdled into the end zone? Just a normal off-tackle play to the left. Second half, they came out, they were like, let's run an inside zone. Let's run an inside zone. Right, they're running really good out of 11 personnel, 1 tight end, 1 back. Running really good out of that in the first half. No, we're going to go to 12 and 10 personnel for most of the second half. Makes sense. Did not work a lick. Shocker. Right, Kenny Pickett, 14 for 19 first half. 141 a tutty. which only had like 2 of the previous, whatever, 5, 6 games. Second half, 5 for 16, 47 yards, no touchdowns. So I'll give Canada a little bit of credit saying, the initial game plan, pretty decent. But anybody that can just go in a film room, watch a bunch of film, has been around football for more than like a year, can make a good 15 to 20 plays. That's very possible. Can scheme a really good first quarter to a first half. Almost every coach in the league can do that, all the way down from assistant, water boy coach, all the way up to head coach. Like all of them. If you just give them enough time and some film. But where the actual coaching comes in, where you have to make halftime adjustments, where you have to show a little bit of ad-lib, show a little bit of special, right? We always talk about quarterbacks like ad-libbing. How about a coordinator? Can we get off script a little bit? Can we make things work? Can we dice it up a little bit, right? For example, Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy. In the red zone, I feel like I see a new play every week. I'm like, oh yeah, we've been working on that for like 5 weeks. And they just don't pull it out because they wait for that exact right time where they have to go a little off script, where they have to go a little haywire. Right? And then they're like, hey, Travis, can you actually roll out to your left and throw? And he's like, sure. And they're like, awesome. We're going to go ahead and do that in the fourth quarter of a divisional game, week 15. And he's like, yeah, I got you. Like, if that happened this season, would it even surprise you? Nope. No. Right? But so, I don't know if it's the play calling duties for, if Canada has the play calling duties, but I mean, there was no rhythm. I mean, not everybody's built to be a play caller, and that's fine, right? It's creative. There's some artistic qualities to it, right? There's some rhythm. There's timing. You have to set things up. There's big shots. It's not easy, right? I'm not trying to say that it's easy. But not everyone's a play caller, and at this point, you have to see that and move off of it, right? So look at. I'll give you another example. Pitt College football is at the game. They played Duke this weekend, right? They won 28-26, right? Pat Narduzzi's a really good coach. I think he's a better recruiter than a coach, but he's a good coach. Coordinator's pretty respect of the OC. They gashed off like 7.5 a carry in the first half against Duke. Could not stop Izzy Abanikanda, the running back, who I think, by the way, is a really good prospect for the draft. But anyway, second half, they handed it off like 7 times. Well, what do you know? Duke ended up within 2 points. It was like a 2-touchdown game almost the whole way. And what do you know? Duke made it close at the end because, they couldn't run the football, and Keaton Slovis is not very good unless it's off-play action, right? Like, people make mistakes. But to sit here and continue to, let the mistakes happen in Pittsburgh, now you're talking big issue. Okay, we see that Matt Canada, he can kind of script a little bit, right? First half isn't terrible. If we can keep that going, beautiful. Kind of figured it out a little bit. Nothing on the back end. No adjustments. No feel for the game. No rhythm. No timing. Okay, that's fine. Make him an assistant coordinator. Make him some assistant position coach where you can still get his input. Because clearly he knows his stuff, right? That's not the problem. But it's the timing and the rhythm and the artistic nature of play calling and play designing in-game and kind of shifting things here. Right? Like you'll see great coaches, they take a play, they take a personnel, and they say, how can we adjust this on the fly, right? This one specific route and this one specific blocking assignment, can we chip here and change this route there to fit this scheme that the defense is trying to play when we are in this personnel, right? There's nothing like that going on for the Steelers. It's a little bit ridiculous at this point. So to sit here and not try to fix it, now that's where it gets crazy, right? It's fine. If Canada's not a good play caller, that's fine. Somebody else do it. Please. Please. Gets frustrating.
No, yeah, I think you said it best with, look, I'm not saying that it's an easy thing to do to be an NFL play caller, but it's just not everybody can do it, and he's not the one. So when you see that, you got to be able to move away from that. You got to be able to make an adjustment in the front office. There's got to be a quality control somewhere in that chain reaction that says, okay, come on. He's simply not getting it done.
I agree.
You have weapons like George Pickens. I don't particularly love Deontay Johnson, but he does all right. I mean, you have different options. Yeah, but you have some different. You have Najee Harris out of the backfield.
Fine. Yeah.
So I mean, you have some pieces. You should be scoring more than 20. What you said, the max was 23 on the season so far.
Before this game, which we got 30, but I would say the last 7 were garbage time. So 23 real points. Is our max.
That's absolutely disgusting. But, week 11, the season in general has been absolutely insane so far this year.
It's been a really good NFL season.
Let's get into some where we were right and where we were wrong with hits and misses.
All right, so let's start with hit number one. We'll start with a pretty big brand here. Let's go with the Packers, right? I said, and we've said this since the very beginning, right? When we released our divisional predictions, I don't see it with the Packers, right? You lose Devontae Adams. I'm not convinced that Matt LaFleur is like this top 10 coach that everyone says he is. I think Aaron's talented, but at the end of the day, I don't think he, production-wise and contributing to winning, isn't a top 8 to 9 quarterback right now.
Yeah.
And their defense is underachieving, right? And so they go out, everyone's freaking out that they beat, the Cowboys. Well, you're at home, you should. And then you go out on a Thursday night on a short week, right? Those are the games that you should win, right? Short week, at home, it's cold. Teams traveling from Tennessee.
Yeah.
They're beat up on the defensive line. They're beat up in their secondary, right? They're missing an offensive lineman. Ryan Tannehill's first game back from injury, and you lose by 10 at home. Like, that's pathetic.
The thing is, their issues we could see coming down the road.
100%.
I mean, these are things that we predicted back in June, July, and August before the NFL started.
Yeah.
When we were looking at Green Bay saying, hey, like, I don't know how Aaron's going to gel with those new receivers. And they are the same exact problems that we're seeing translate all season long. And it's really, really putting a thorn in the side of this Green Bay organization right now as a whole.
It's fantastic. I love it. All right, miss number one. I feel like this could be one every week. The Broncos just continue to prove us more and more wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, they're an abject disaster. You look at Brady to the Bucks, home run, Super Bowl. Stafford to the Rams, home run, Super Bowl. Russell Wilson to the Broncos.
So do you think
awful?
Do you think this is more of an anomaly where a great veteran quarterback goes to a team that has some good pieces and doesn't?
I would say no. I would say the first two are anomalies. I think overall this is kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
Right? I think this is.
I mean, well, you look at
I mean, now I know Russ and Brady and Stafford have, before the moves been more prominent, but like, look at all the other quarterbacks that have moved around this offseason, like Baker, disaster. Carson Wentz, disaster. Matt Ryan, disaster, right?
Right,
So,
but even this is probably the first one of the top tier that didn't work, because you look at Manning worked, Stafford worked, Brady
Fair.
worked, but
Fair.
you look at Russ. So
I know that I still am a big fan of Russ. I think it is, at the end of the day, I think it's a coaching problem more than it is a Russ problem. But I can't run from the fact that Russ has been awful too. I think it says more about Russ being not in that tier. I certainly think he's above the Matt Ryan,
Yes.
Baker Mayfield, Carson Wentz tier. But I don't think he's in the Stafford and Brady tier. I think that's what it tells me.
I agree.
Is that crazy?
Yeah, I agree.
Hit number two. We got a lot of pushback about three to 4 weeks ago when we said that the Chiefs were the top team in the league over the then unbeaten Eagles, right? About a couple weeks ago, they were still unbeaten. Well, how's that look now? I mean, it looks pretty good.
It looks pretty right.
I think the Chiefs would mop the floor with Philly if they played tomorrow. I think it'd be a 2-score game. I don't even think it'd be close. I mean, look, we like Philly. We think they're a talented roster, obviously going to go to the playoffs. I feel better about them than I do last year. But at the end of the day, look, did anybody when they went to the playoffs last year think that's a team that can go ahead and win a playoff game? No, we went to that Tampa game thinking they're going to get mopped. Every time they play a really, really good team, I have the feeling I think they're going to get waxed.
Yeah, they don't give you the same confidence. Like, we talked about it before the Kansas City game. We were watching it this week, or I guess last week, and they just absolutely, we were like, look, what would it be like to be a Kansas City fan? I mean, knowing that you are going into every single game, you got Travis Kelce, you got Patrick Mahomes, you have an easy lock where, 14 games are almost guaranteed to win all season?
I think I said about 15 games a year. You can almost book it. You're going to have a chance in the fourth quarter to win the game.
Insane.
And the better quarterback in the game to win the game in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, they have that stability. I don't have that same feeling when it comes to Philadelphia.
No, and I think they're still in that spot where kind of like the whole team is in the spot that Lamar was last year, where you're trying to learn how to come from behind, right? That team, the Eagles, whenever they get rolling, whenever they're moving downhill, they're up by a score, they're up by 10 points, they can run the football, keep you off balance, better than almost anybody in the league when they're able to do that. If you can throw them off their game and give them a rough first quarter, now they're playing from behind. Now they're down 3. Now all of a sudden they're down 13.
Get them a little uncomfortable.
Now everybody knows Jalen Hurts has to throw on 2nd and 10. Now it's 3rd and 11. That's the problem.
And it doesn't
with
look
Philly.
as relaxed and fluid when it's in those situations.
Right.
Like on a 3rd and 20 with the Chiefs, it looks like, just another down. And then they somehow rip off 23 to 24 yards.
Right. I'm sitting there watching that Chiefs and Chargers game, and I'm looking at my buddy and I say, if the Chargers score, then you're going to bet the Chiefs live odds because the Chiefs live odds are going to go up to like plus 200, plus 250.
Yeah.
They went to like plus 220, I want to say. Like, no other quarterback, another team do you say that, hey, minute and a half left, if this team scores, bet the other team to drive down and win.
Yeah.
Like, that's almost unheard of. So,
but it's almost a lock with Patrick.
It is a lock with Mahomes. All right, miss number 2. We had a Rams-Bills Super Bowl prediction. Bills over the Rams. I guess the Bills still could, although I don't think they will. I'm worried that they're too Josh Allen reliant.
Yeah,
I think without Brian Daboll, I
there
just
are
don't
some
think
issues.
Yeah, but the Rams are definitely going to miss the playoffs. And to be honest with you, they suck this year.
That was out of left field. I mean, I did not see that coming at all.
I'm not gonna say I didn't see it coming. I didn't expect it to be this bad though. I did a rant about a month after the Super Bowl. I said, because they're all talking, we're gonna bring him back, we're gonna sign him, we're gonna sign him. I said, be careful about just bringing the band back together, right? Like, look at Belichick's run. He was always moving off people, probably earlier than everybody else thought they should, but then it always ended up being a really, really good move, right? So like, be careful about bringing everybody back, and so. I don't know if that's necessarily the problem, but it doesn't look good in LA.
I expected a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover, but not like that. Yeah. Maybe first couple games of the season you look a little bit lackadaisical,
right?
But usually you find your way. This just doesn't look good for Los Angeles.
All right, hit number 3. It was rumored that like pre-draft of what was that 2020. Yeah, 2020.
So back at the start of the podcast.
Yeah, start of the podcast. That in the pre-draft, that Zach Wilson is going to be the number 1 quarterback, and he'll go over Trevor Lawrence. Right? That's the guy that should go number 1. I started cracking up like on the air. I was like, that's just insane. That's just categorically insane. Trevor's a unicorn, 6'5", 230, mobile, big arm, can run the ball, can throw the ball, accurate. You got a good demeanor, pretty good leader, right? And then Zach is kind of just a guy with a good arm, and he's got away with moms. I guess that's about it. That's kind of what he's got. Like, that's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's about all I've heard in the news about him.
It's a talent. I'll give you that. Not the kind we evaluate. I mean, I'll tip my hat to you, but at the end of the day, my brother, you can't play football.
Respect where it's due.
Respect where it's due, absolutely.
But this is not translating to winning.
I agree. And in the good words of Stephen A. Smith, the man is a bona fide scrub. All right? Now, granted, he's talking about Kwame Brown, but I mean, still, I think it applies here with Zach Wilson. All right?
Okay.
All right, miss number 3. Luke's now 3 games back in the predictions.
I was 4.
He was 4. Over the break, we had, I guess, 3 weeks. Well, we had one where he predicted, and then we had the 3 total decisions, I guess. And
I won 2 of the 3.
He took 2. I got 1. So I'm still up 3.
Yeah.
Looking to get up 1 here, but we'll see who
I'm
wins.
still on the losing end of it, so it's a miss for me. But no matter how you cut it,
you're gaining ground. So we'll see.
A little bit at a time. Hey, doesn't matter. We'll get there in the end. We got
fair.
what, 6-ish? No. 2, 7, 5.
So it's 12. So it's week 12, and then we got 13, 14, 15, 16, 17,
well, including
18.
this week 6.
Yeah, including this week we got 6.
Yeah. So
It's
I got
possible.
time to turn it around. I'm planning on it. So.
We'll see how it goes. All right. Yeah, guys, make sure you come back next segment. We will have just kind of talking through some of the games from this past week. What went right, what went wrong for teams, and then we'll go through our top 10 NFL teams, 1 through 10, do a couple honorable mentions here and there, and then we'll get into our third segment of predictions, obviously. All right, second segment, the issue, Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. All right, we got our... so we're going to review some games here, and then we'll have our predictions in the third segment. I'm all over the place right now.
Yeah,
we have our top 10.
Well, yeah,
I don't normally lead in.
Yeah, we have.
Still getting back into it. All right, I'm a little rusty.
Hey, you got to bump the rust off from the last 2 weeks. I get it. But we have our Week 11 review to start off with the 4 really big games that we felt we needed to come on and talk about this week. And then we will have the top 10 NFL teams to finish up the second segment in our power rankings. And then our third segment will be all Week 12 predictions. So we'll predict Week 12, bets on a budget for Week 12. And
sweet.
That's what it'll look like. But, so kind of, weird games. We had the Raiders-Broncos game go to overtime.
See, that one was interesting, I guess, but both teams are not very good, so I don't care that much.
Yeah, there is. It's not like a big buzz topic to talk about. But, at the end of the day, the Raiders finally get a win, I guess, over the Broncos.
Right.
You would hope they would.
The Broncos are that bad. They're that bad.
The Raiders are where we expected them to be, so... Yeah. No problems there. But let's go with the Week 11 review.
So I guess we'll start with kind of the most resounding victory, right? The Cowboys, what was it, 40-3 or 43-3 or something like that?
Yeah, it was 40-3.
Just an absolutely ridiculous game. First of all, I had Tony Pollard in fantasy. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
39 burger. That's what's up. That's what I'm talking about. We needed that. But from an actual football standpoint, this was kind of predictable, right? We kind of saw this going in. At least I did. You didn't, of course.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I took the Vikings.
Right, so my point is the Vikings have a really, really emotional victory where they were on the field overtime, right? They're all the way in Buffalo. You know, it's cold. Buffalo can get physical. That's a back-and-forth game on the field for a while, overtime. Then you come back home. You're kind of feeling yourself a little bit. And then comes Dallas, who just got embarrassed, right? That's one of those games in the NFL where the talent is so close together that any little edge that team can find can be the difference. And I thought that was going to be the difference, and it was.
Look, I mean, I can see how, I mean, I didn't predict the Vikings, but I mean, I could see going into the game how the Cowboys were favored. But I did not see it being a blowout to that.
No,
because
I didn't expect that.
I thought the Vikings were a lot better, and that's
100%.
a big thing that kind of raised in my mind. Like, look, if the Vikings are going to be that team, and they're going to come out of the NFC North, and they're going to kind of compete in the playoffs a little bit, you're going to need to at least compete with a Dallas. I mean, Dallas isn't even close to top tier.
No, like Dallas has a pretty good defense, and when they can run the ball like that with Tony Pollard and Zeke, now we're talking a top 3 team in the NFC.
Yes,
but that happens once every month, maybe once every 4th game. I think that's fair to say.
I think a big part of Dallas's defense that I don't like is they're really reliant on a pass rush, and we see how that can be an issue with the Steelers. When you don't generate it, you get burned over the top a lot.
Right. I think their defense definitely can be gashed. I think that's still the strength of their team at the end of the day. I mean, holding Minnesota 3 points, that's impressive. But I don't take a whole lot from the game. You know what I mean? Like, I still feel kind of the same way I do about Dallas, right? Like, yeah, I mean, it was a good win for them. Minnesota, like, yeah, that's a tough loss, but at the end of the day, like, are they going to go out and win 4 of their next 6, finish atop the NFC North, host a playoff game, and probably win it? Yeah. Like, I think that's exactly what I thought about Minnesota heading into the game. I kind of feel the same way about them now.
All right.
Now, I mean, maybe a little bit shakier on winning a playoff game, but I mean, they will be super competitive and probably should win a playoff game.
I think so.
And so they're going to be, I mean, the Eagles will be the 1 seed probably. 2 seed won't be Tampa Bay. They'll finish with a better record than Tampa Bay. They'll probably end up finishing with a better record than Seattle too.
Yeah.
So you're looking at a 2 seed, right? So you're playing the 7 seed in the NFC. That could be like a Washington
or a New Orleans
if they sneak in. Now, what would really be tough is if Seattle does end up winning that, and for some reason San Fran were to be a 7 seed. But San Fran would have to lose a couple games. I don't foresee them. I think they'll be a 5. But either way.
All right. Chiefs and Chargers was another big one that happened. Mahomes and Herbert, I think it was their 5th matchup against each other. It's 5.
Yeah, this was 5. What is it? Herbert, I think, won 1. Is that it?
Yeah, I think he's 1-5 or 1-4. So
I don't know. They match up pretty well though. They're always great games.
It was one of the best. I'd say the best watch of the week.
I would say so. Yeah.
And it was Mahomes coming back again in the end. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. You're going to see it for the next 10 years minimum. I mean, that's fair to say.
It's one of those where you're looking, you're 9 minutes out, and you're kind of trying to think about what possession. You're like trying to, in your head, envision who's going to get the last possession. You're like, okay, it's 9 minutes. We have the ball. If we go on a long drive and we take 5 minutes off, then we're at 4 minutes, and Mahomes will take 2, and then we get the ball relatively like kind of last, right? And we can burn some clock.
The only way you beat Patrick Mahomes by a possession is if the math favors you. Like, you have to get lucky, not on the coin flip, but on the math that time is going to tick down, and you're not going to give him any more than 2 seconds and no timeouts, because he'll make something out of nothing. We watched him drive down the field in 11 seconds last year, was it?
13. I will say though, to be fair, with Tyreek Hill, and he ran it for like a lot of yards. So
yeah,
but yeah. All right, well, let's go with the Lions and the Giants. So I've been saying this. Well, first of all, we said this about the Lions to start the year. They're going to be probably the best bad team, right? Like, they probably won't be above 500. They'll be right on the border, right? Somewhere around 8 and 9-ish, which they're kind of on pace for 7 and 10, 8 and 9.
Look,
but they'll be scrappy. They're going to be tough to face. They have a pretty good offense. They can run the ball. Jared Goff with a run game protection is not bad. He's good enough.
Dan Campbell's winning some games, and that's what it comes down to, and that's what matters. I mean,
Yeah.
the Giants aren't a bad football team by any stretch this year. They got a pretty good running game.
Running game, good defensive line.
I will say their record is a bit inflated.
Right.
I think
right.
it will start to balance out. Like we say, weeks are crazy, but the year is consistent.
Yeah.
No,
yeah. Weeks are crazy, years are consistent. Yeah.
So
right.
I think by the end of the season, it starts to balance out a little bit. But the Giants are not a pushover team, I don't think.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say, like you said, it's definitely inflated. Like, do I think they're a bad team? No. Do I think they should be more like 5-5? Probably.
Yeah.
Or they feel like more of a 5-5 team than they do a 7-3 team,
Either
and at
way.
one point 7-2 team.
A little running back tandem duo they got going in Detroit is kind of good. I like that.
It is good, yeah. Unfortunately, I have Swift on my fantasy team, and Jamal Williams is hogging up all the touchdowns, but that's okay. We live to fight another day, but
Not good fantasy situation, but good team situation.
good
overall.
team situation for sure. All right, let's finish off Jets and Pats. So I kind of touched on this with Zach Wilson. I guess I already got on him enough, right? We already kind of ripped him enough.
Yeah.
We'll keep this to the fact that about the game, right? So first of all, horrific to watch. We were watching Red Zone. I think it popped up once.
Maybe once or twice.
Well, because nobody scored a touchdown until the end. So,
No.
there's nothing. There was, no, hey, let's alert you to a red zone. It's like there was only one of them
I think we saw both the field goals to make it 3-3, and
Yeah,
that was probably
yeah.
it.
That was it.
We didn't cut back in.
But the last play, the decision to punt the ball inbounds was something that I thought was a little bit different. So, you're looking at the other sideline, knowing it's Mac Jones and a bunch of below-average receivers, to be nice.
Lawn furniture.
Sure, lawn furniture, deck chairs, whatever you're going to call them, whatever. Yeah, sure, for sure. And to see that offense on the other side and to not think, hey, even if we only boot this to the 35-yard line, let's get it out of bounds. Let's get it out of bounds, right? And make them, in about 22 seconds, drive the length of the field.
That would be a better recipe than kicking it directly to them, yes.
Directly to them, and then they return it. On a team who, by the way, has had great special teams for 20 years. Like, that's a thing.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I mean,
I thought it was a bad decision. How about Zach Wilson saying no on the podium, though, afterwards? So, did you hear that question and hear the response?
What was the question?
So, a reporter, point blank, do you feel that you guys let the defense down? Only scoring 3 points, and they only held them to 3 points. Do you think that you let them down? Zach Wilson goes, no, and then walks off.
Dude, that's bad.
They
scored
averaged
3 points.
They averaged 2 inches a play in the
saw
second
that.
half.
You sent me that. That was
They
funny.
had 2 total yards in the second half.
Yeah.
How do you not? But yes,
that's
point
letting
blank.
your defense
yes.
down. Your defense held a Bill Belichick team offense to 3 points for the majority of the game until a really bad call.
Right, it's a bad call to kick it in bounds.
Right.
But yeah, I'm just like, what are you saying? Did he just say no? I'm like, point blank, yes, you did.
Yeah.
Like all day, 100% of the time.
3 points.
Like 100. Like you're missing 6-yard outs. You're sailing outs by like 8 yards. Like yes, 100% it is your fault. Like yeah, if I came on here and I just sucked for like an hour and a half, and you looked at me and were like, dude, I'd be like, no, it's not my fault. You'd be like, no, it kind of is,
a little bit,
guy. Like no, it is, yeah. It didn't make any sense to me.
Take responsibility for things.
Have some pride. Be like, yeah, me, but I'll get better, right?
Eli Manning it.
Right. Eli Manning it. We'll finish the segment on that. Wise words.
Eli Manning it. Yeah.
Or not the segment, I guess, just this little discussion here because we got to get into our rankings, our top 10. We'll do a couple of honorable mentions too, but let's go ahead and start with our power rankings going into Week 12 of the NFL.
So let's go top 10 NFL teams going into Week 12. Here we go. Number 10.
Okay, number 10. Let's go with the Titans. I mean, they might not be the flashiest team. I don't think Tannehill's the best quarterback by any stretch. They have some injuries. They're not, I don't want to say untalented. It's the NFL. Everybody's talented. But,
yeah.
I think flashy is the right word. They're not, loaded with talent, but they know what they do well. They run the football. They're going to play good team defense. They're going to be tough. You're always going to get a really good version of that team. Their ceiling might not be that high, but you're going to get really close to their ceiling every time they play.
And they've got a really good coach, too.
Absolutely. I love Mike Vrabel. I think he's a top 5 head coach right now.
Yeah, we had the TikTok about it during the break
Yeah.
while we were off. And we know that really well-coached teams, to go along with the bit of talent they do have, and by bit of talent, I mean Derrick Henry, they're a little bit limited at some positions like quarterback. I don't think Tannehill's going to be, ever the quarterback that's going to lead them down some insane stretch and run into the playoffs and then win a Super Bowl. I don't think he's that guy. But they do a lot of things well, and their coach thinks up some really nice schemes, at least at this point in the NFL. I mean, we see it all over the place with Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan and the lack of it in Pittsburgh.
So, I mean,
the creativity.
Right now, you took the Titans against every other person that you're going to hear on the rest of this list. Here's why I like them. They could 100% out-physical and outrun every team that's on this list. They could sit there with Derrick Henry and just pound the rock.
Possession their way to victories.
Rush forward, still get a pass rush, and just be tough and grit their way to victories over anybody else. That's why they always have a chance, and they're on this list. All right, number 9, let's go with the Cowboys. Really, really good defense. When they run the ball, they're fantastic. I know people thinking 9, wow, they just blew out Minnesota. Yeah, they also lost to Green Bay at Lambeau. This is a list at the whole season, right? They are certainly a good team. Here's what scares me is they have to play their A game for them to have a shot, pretty much. And if they don't have much of a shot, right? They have to run the ball. They need 3 or more sacks, right? Ideally, they need a turnover.
Yeah.
If you said you're down 10 going into the second half, you already have 2 turnovers, can you go win the game? I don't think they can. I think that's what it is down the stretch in November and December.
Yeah, that's going to be a big issue because those are the types of things that you're going to have to grit out and find ways to victory. Like the end of the season is so crucial because everybody's a win away, and every game matters to the point where you can't afford to drop games anymore. You can't afford to lose those 50-50 games if you want to actually have any type of a shot at any sort of championship game, whether that be conference or the Super Bowl.
Right, and also looking ahead at all the other teams above him, all 8 of them, I would say at least 6 of them, more like 7 to maybe even all 8, I'd rather their quarterback. So in a big game, that's what I would default to.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go number 8. Let's go with the Dolphins. So we got Tua, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, right? So loaded with talent. I like their head coach, Mike McDaniel. They have a really, really nice offense. I worry a little bit about the defense and the consistency, right? We've seen Tua against good defenses kind of break down a little bit, but at the end of the day, that's a really good offense, well-coached team, and a good enough defense.
Yeah, and I think in their division right now, I like them over the Patriots. I like them over the Jets. And I think they can compete pretty much 50-50 with the Bills at this point. I mean, we have the Bills a little bit higher up on this list. You'll see that, obviously.
Because they have
I still see them having that ceiling where they can beat a Josh Allen in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And I think we've said it before, anybody on this list, we can see beating anybody else on this list.
Yeah. Well, it's the NFL. I mean, it's crazy. That's the good news. I mean, the Giants lost to the Lions. So it is what it is. All right, number 7, let's go with the Bengals. I didn't take a whole lot from this latest victory, but here's what I do look at is what they've been able to do without Jamar Chase. They've still been pretty productive. T. Higgins has been good. Joe Mixon's been running the football really, really well. And Joe Burrow's just calm, cool, collected. I was saying this while we were watching the game. I said it's kind of frustrating to have the next Brady in our division where it's just 8 yards, dink, dunk, tight ends, running backs, slot guys. And then it's over the top Jamar Chase for 40. So it's like, it's very frustrating. It has a feeling of Brady where it's just frustrating. Like there's nothing you can do. The minute you come up, you're screwed.
It's so hard to defend, and especially with the horrific linebackers that the Steelers have right now. None of them have looked good in coverage. Everybody's gotten burnt. It doesn't matter what tight end you throw at them. Doesn't matter what slot receiver you throw at them. They're not going to be able to stay on them. And those dink and dunks have hurt the Steelers for, since 2004 when Brady started really just stepping into that?
Yeah. Our number 6, let's go with the Ravens. I know it might be a little bit high given that they just barely beat Carolina, but at the end of the day, it's the National Football League. They found a way to win. I like their quarterback. I like their coach. They can run the football. Good in the trenches on both sides. Young in the secondary, so I worry if they got into a shootout. Again, with Lamar, you have a shot. You have a shot.
You always do. And, I mean, the weapons around them are good enough. And they'll make plays for them. And on the flip side, their defense, they have a great defensive line, and they're going to be able to attack you with a good pass rush. They can blitz multiple backers at the same time and still have people in coverage when they bring in those dime looks. So There are a lot of things I like about
Right.
Baltimore, and they're kind of a sneakier team right now. They don't have I think they have a deflated record. We were talking earlier about the Giants, how I think they have an inflated record. This is one where I think, the Ravens are going to rack up some more wins,
Right.
and it's going to be a really dangerous team to face in, obviously, late November now, but into December throughout the rest of the season.
You could look up, they'd be 13-4, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, wow, all right. All right, number 5, let's go with the Vikings. I think they're slightly better because I think they're more talented on the outside. In a weapons league, that's important. And at the same time, you still have Dalvin Cook to run the football. So I think they're a little bit more balanced on offense with more talent. And then defensively, they do get a bit more of a pass rush with Zadarius Smith, and they have Patrick Peterson on the back end. So I think they're very similar when it comes to know who they are offensively and some question marks defensively, but most of the time good enough.
Yes.
Right? Very similar to Baltimore. But I think they have better guys in almost every position except for like quarterback.
Yes.
I think their wide receivers are better. Dalvin Cook's better. Patrick Peterson's better. Zadarius Smith's better than anybody Baltimore has.
And don't let this past week cloud your vision on what we've seen from Kirk Cousins this year. He's been a really good quarterback. He's been just beyond serviceable. He's made some really nice throws, really good plays, and good decisions all year. This past week against Dallas did not look like that whatsoever. But I think going forward, he's a veteran quarterback. He knows what it's like to come back and have some resiliency from a bad game. So I think he rebounds pretty well. I like the Vikings down the stretch. I do.
Right. Sorry. I just like, I can never stand the slander of Kirk Cousins. So I had to just pull up his stats. I mean, just listen to the pass ratings. Okay, this year, if you want to complain, 86. Okay, whatever. 103, 105, 107, 100, 94, 97, 102. Or like, those are the last, 7-8 years that I just said.
Yeah.
Like, Kirk puts up big boy numbers. That just is what it is. Like, I like it or not. Right? Listen to touchdowns. 33, 35, 26, 30, 30. Like, it's every year. Okay? Like, he's a good quarterback.
No Kirk slander.
No Kirk slander. Unless prime time, then we'll slander Kirk.
Yes.
All right, number 4, let's go with the 49ers. When healthy and when playing well, they might be the best team in the league. When they're healthy, they might be.
Into those schemes with Debo and then C-Mac and how they're able to kind of play off each other, that is insane.
And Brandon Ayuk is almost unguardable.
Yeah.
He's so quick. He's unguardable.
Not to mention the defense, which will just absolutely tear any offense into pieces. And you can't go over the middle on them because their linebackers are... You're not getting anything completed over the middle.
It's great.
They push everything to the boundaries, which is nice.
They have a top 5 player at at every single position group. So, except for quarterback, which Jimmy G, though, is still serviceable.
But he's still good. It's like a Kirk Cousins almost.
C-Mac, Debo Samuel for the wide receivers.
Yeah.
George Kittle as a tight end, certainly top 5.
Yep.
Trent Williams on the offensive line's top 5. Fred Warner as the linebacker spot. Nick Bosa up front. And that Hufanga, that safety, is 100% playing like a top 5 secondary player. DB.
For sure.
Every layer, it's crazy. It's crazy.
They have been able to acquire talent by not overpaying, which is weird though because they are paying a good amount of money to Jimmy G to be a backup.
Remember they restructured it to $7 million a year, which is great. All right, let's go with number 3, the Bills, because I think right now in a big game, who do I trust? Josh Allen or Jimmy G? I will lean Josh Allen, although it looks different. I don't think the gap is like insane. Like, I think Jimmy G can hold his own in a big game.
Yes.
I'm not saying that he will play as well as Josh Allen. I'm not saying
he's not going to take control of a big game like Josh Allen will.
With that supporting cast, he can compete in a big game with Josh Allen. But I do think Josh Allen makes 1 or 2 extra plays, wins the game. And also, I think the defense is better in Buffalo.
I think so too.
Well,
no,
it's close. It's so close.
Well,
right now Matt Milano's out, so it's not. They're not playing as well.
Well, the pass rush is just crazy in Buffalo.
The pass rush is better.
The pass rush is definitely better, which is crazy to say because you're going. That's compared to a Nick Bosa-led pass rush,
right? But then they have Von Miller and like they rotate 6 deep that are fantastic. So, all right, let's go number 2, the Eagles. I'm not going to dock them a whole lot for the last 2 weeks. A little bit of struggles. They lost, obviously at home, and then they kind of scuffled by Indy. This is the NFL. Like, this is kind of what happens around this time of the year, right? Teams have your tape. You're getting into
it's almost like
November.
dog days of the summer when in baseball, like you get into the July, August baseball.
Dog days of the winter, right? Yeah. It is what it is. It's tough, but when they can establish their running game, when they can get physical, when they can run the football, play action fake, that's a tough team to beat. That's a really, really tough team to beat. I still like their roster like a lot. I think it's top 3 roster. I think right now with the momentum, right, of the season, that's a really good team. Now, I will say, their schedule's really easy coming up. Really, just...
And their speed on defense is what surprises me. I just want to say that. How fast they can get to the ball carrier. You're not getting any yards against the Philadelphia.
So they have Green Bay, but it's at home. I don't consider Green Bay even a top 15 team.
No.
I think they're closer to 20.
They might.
I would consider that an easy game.
Yeah.
Now then they have to host the Titans. That's not great. Go to the Giants, which what do they do against average quarterbacks? Swallow them, right? Easy. And then they go, to Chicago. Again, another young quarterback. I think Chicago has the right momentum, but I don't think they're a good team by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
And then they go to Dallas, which will be tough. But there's 3 games that are super winnable. At worst, you're looking at 13-4, I imagine.
I mean, they look really good.
So, all right, and at number 1, of course, the Chiefs.
Nobody's
Patrick
beating
Mahomes.
It's so hard to put them anywhere other than 1, right? I mean, you have the best quarterback in the game. You're not going to lose by a possession. It's almost guaranteed. You're not going to get waxed and absolutely have your defense fall apart because they just don't. They bend. They don't break.
Right.
And you have a pretty good running game. You got some really good weapons for Patty to throw to. I mean, it's so hard to take them from 1.
That's what surprised me about the other day. I watched a drive where they just ran the ball 6 straight times and just moved right down the field. I'm like, they can do it when they want to or when they need to, right? Yeah. That's what's different, I think, about Buffalo. The Buffalo, when they need to run, when they really want to run, they can. Kansas City can't. And you look at their schedule ahead, right? So they have the Rams at home. That's easy. That's a win.
That's a lot.
Now they go to Cincinnati. That's not great. But then 3 straight wins at the end of the year. They go to Denver. They go to Houston, and then they host Seattle. I like Seattle a lot, but at Arrowhead in December,
they're getting crushed.
The only reason they lose that is if they're resting starters. That's it. That's the only way that they would lose that game.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, at that point, if they had the division, the conference locked up.
Yeah, so they have the 1 seed, obviously having the division, and then they have the 1 seed locked up. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Absolutely, you would rest.
Yeah.
But that's the only way they lose that game. All right, well, that's our top 10. Let's go back through it. We'll start at 1. Chiefs, Eagles, Bills at 3. Then we got the Niners at 4, Vikings at 5, Ravens at 6. The Bengals, Dolphins, and the Cowboys at 7, 8, 9. And finishing off with the Titans at 10 to round it off. You can check out the graphic on our Instagram. What is that, the Issue Podcast or the underscore?
The underscore Issue Podcast. All the links are in the description of the episode, though, wherever you're listening.
We've gotten so lazy. We used to know them just right there. Now we're just like, it's in the description.
Yeah, I used to pay attention to each one, but there's a little bit of a difference in each.
Well, because you go on, you try to get the username, and then it's it's taken. Whatever.
Well, I think you can buy the username is what it comes down to.
Might have to.
Later on.
So who sets the price on that? The guy who currently has the username?
I think it goes up. If you want to dispute that, I'm pretty sure it goes on Instagram as an auction. And there's somebody from Instagram that it's almost like an auction to get it. You have to offer a specific amount or something. But maybe that'll happen after the pretty big rollout that we have coming up in the next 2-ish weeks. So we'll just leave you guys hanging on that one. But we'll be back in the third segment to do all of the predictions for Week 12 as well as bets on a budget. Yeah, you're not saying nothing.
I'm not saying nothing.
It has to be a surprise. It's coming out soon. So, I guess follow that link in the description to everything. Stay up to date. But we'll be back. Third segment coming up next. What's up? We are back. It is the third segment of the issue here on Thanksgiving. We have all of the predictions for this week. So we have the 3 games for later today, Thursday, and then we have all the Sunday and then Monday games. We will give you our predicted wins, losses. Hopefully I can gain a week here in the little competition we have going. I'm down 3 Need to pull that back soon before it just gets mathematically impossible to win. And then we will have bets on a budget to close out this segment.
Slim margin of error this week. There's only one split between us. Look, there's not a lot of games that I think are go either way games this week. There's usually a lot in the NFL.
Cut.
And now here's the thing though. This will be the best weekend because there'll be like 9 crazy games with 4 upsets.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, yep, I thought I knew the NFL. I don't. So
yeah, next week will be. It should be pretty funny reviewing. I feel like there's going to be at least a couple here and there that we get wrong.
Right.
I feel like there's especially the Bengals Titans game, and we'll get to the prediction coming up.
But
I feel like that's one that could go, but I feel
either way
safer because it's like I need these wins right now.
That's a go either way game. I would say the Raiders Seahawks is going to be close, and the Falcons Commanders maybe, but I mean those are. I don't know. All right, let's start. Let's just get into it. Let's go ahead and start. We'll start with the Thanksgiving games. Starting here pretty soon, actually. Bills and Lions here. So, Bills going up to Detroit, favored by 9.5. I'll go ahead and take the Bills. I think you are as well.
Yes.
At the end of the day, they're a better team. I know they've been struggling, and the Lions have been playing well, winning 3 straight, but I don't think even on their best day, the Lions are on the level of the Bills yet.
No.
The quarterback play is not there. The weapons aren't there. The trenches aren't there. So I think the Bills are a much better team at almost every phase. They're just more ahead in the process. I think the Lions are showing improvement, but they're not on the Bills level yet.
And the Bills have a Josh Allen, while the Lions have a Jared Goff. So if you're just going basic, like we pick based off quarterbacks a lot, you're going to go Josh Allen to the Bills
100%.
about 100% of the time.
All right, let's go with the Giants at the Cowboys at 4:30 today on Fox. Cowboys, I think the Cowboys are a better version of what the Giants are. So I think both teams need to run the football, establish the run, have really nice front sevens, especially front fours. The defensive line, pass rush, right? The strength of the team, run game, pass rush. But I think Dak is much better than Daniel Jones, so they're going to make a couple more plays. They're also more talented on the outside. But I think both foundationally the same team, but I think the Cowboys do it a lot better.
Yes. Now, I do think it'll get pretty interesting because this is still a good divisional matchup. You got the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. It's going to be, I think, a pretty tight game. I don't see this one being one where they blow them out. I don't. I see them putting up a little bit more of a fight than the Vikings. I'll say that.
100%. I mean, at 9.5 for a divisional game is kind of crazy. So we'll roll with the Cowboys. We'll get to some bets later. All right, Patriots at the Vikings is the night game here tonight. Both going to go ahead and take the Vikings. Look, good teams that get embarrassed. We all know how that they do. They're going to bounce back. They're going to play good. I would imagine Kirk looks a lot better tonight. I think they're going to try to establish the run with Dalvin Cook, give Kirk some defined reads. I think it's going to probably go pretty well considering Kevin O'Connell's a smart coach.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Vikings, they're a better team, and I think they're going to have a little bit more fire, this week.
And then watch a little bit, too, for the Patriots on a bit of a bounce back. I mean, scoring 3 points as it is not normally a New England thing to do.
Right. All right, let's go with the Buccaneers at the Browns. You could make an argument for the Browns just because of the pressure that they could get on Brady, but I do think Tampa Bay is much more talented, and I think that their defense is going to get pressure on Jacoby Brissett more than they're going to get pressure on Brady.
I think so too.
So I'll go with the Bucs by about a touchdown.
Yeah, I like the Bucs.
Yeah. Okay, finally our split here. Broncos at Panthers. You're still riding with Russ
in Broncos country. Let's ride.
So who's even starting for the Panthers? Is it Baker? Sorry, I got to click on the little icon here so it shows me. So right now it looks like P.J. Walker, but who knows? It could be Baker. I don't feel great about any of the starting quarterbacks. I think we're both kind of in the same spot where we're like, wow, we're gonna pick, but we're not gonna feel good about it. At this point, he's like, I'll take the Broncos. I'm like, you know what? I'll be different. Screw it. We need to split. So I'll go with the Panthers. Plus, I guess at least they show some. Like there are games where they show some fight, especially offensively. Like they put up 30-something against Atlanta. Like they did embarrass Brady. Like they show flashes. I don't think I've seen a single flash from Denver. That's why I went with Carolina.
I like Denver enough and their defense enough to kind of keep that Carolina BB gun offense at bay.
That's going to be a struggle to keep that offense at bay, I'll tell you what.
But I mean, I don't see it being much better for Denver either.
Can they contain my boy P.J. Walker?
That's going to be the headline storyline of the week, I think.
All right, Falcons at Commanders. We're both going to go Commanders. You could argue me into Falcons. I think if it was in Atlanta, I'd probably take Atlanta. But it being in Washington, I'll roll with the Commanders. I think Taylor Heineke's got that baller in him. He'll probably lead them to
they got the
close
defense,
win.
too.
Yeah, good defense.
Marcus Martin,
I think they'd
anything against that.
No, I actually was going to start him, but I dropped him. I don't think he will either. I actually had the Commanders' defense. They got me 19 last week with that pick 6.
Yeah, that was nice.
So, yeah, we're going to hope that they can do that again. We'll see. All right, Bears at the Jets. We're both going to go with the Bears. The Jets are actually favored by 4.5 at home. But here's the thing. Matt Eberflus, you saw what he did when he went to New England, what he was able to do to the young quarterbacks, Bailey Zappi and Mac Jones, completely baffled him. Right? I think he's going to be able to do a lot of the same things to Zach Wilson. That's what I'm thinking. And then Justin Fields will run all over him.
I think so, too. I mean, it's just going to be that's another one of those games where I really don't like either of the two.
Yeah.
I mean, picking those, it's going to be that's a toss-up. That's going to be a good game, but it's going to be a toss-up.
Yeah, I'll take the Bears by a bit.
I like the Bears.
Bengals at the Titans. Look, it being in Tennessee.
Now, this is going to be like one of the games of the week.
Gives them a shot. Oh, yeah, 100%. Can't wait to watch this game. It being in Tennessee gives them a shot. I'll say that. It gives them a shot. But I do think that the Bengals are a better football team. I like their quarterback better. I like their weapons better.
Yep.
Offensive line is a toss-up. But here's the thing. I know that the Titans will run the football. Cincinnati can also run the football, and they can throw in behind it. So I think the combination of that is better than just the Titans running the ball.
I think so too. I mean, you look at it. Having two ways to win are a lot better than one. Plus, once that defense only has to key on Derrick Henry,
makes it a lot easier.
You're not going to be able to really get guys open in the first place. And I like Ryan Tannehill a little bit. He's okay, but he's not the kind of guy that's going to beat a Cincinnati in this spot.
Let's go with the Ravens at the Jaguars. Both take the Ravens here. Jags are good, not on that level though. Their offense has been kind of.
They're not winning this.
No.
It worries me how little points Baltimore put up against the Jets.
No, Panthers.
Or the Panthers, week. Yes, yeah. The Panthers. I mean, like, look, you should not be doing that. I don't think that's going to be the same story against Jacksonville, but
good team
Baltimore has the.
They found a way to win.
I think they caught a little bit of whatever the Steelers had a couple years ago, where they just, or not even a couple years ago, just all the time. The Pittsburgh logic, where you just play down to the level of your competition all the time.
Right.
I feel like they have the tendency to do that, but I still like the Ravens over the Jags.
Texans at the Dolphins. Dolphins win very easily. Moving on. I mean, like, look, Texans are bad. Dolphins are good. Seahawks hosting the Raiders. Again, you could argue me into the Raiders, but I think it being at home and Seattle's off a bye. What do we know about good coaches off a bye?
They're very good.
Yeah, they're very good, right? And Pete Carroll is really good.
And it's the Raiders. They're bottom of the division.
Are they off a bye? Am I crazy?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thought I was tripping myself out there for a second. Okay, yeah. Right, so the Seahawks off a bye. Good coaches off a bye are really, really good. Pete Carroll, we've had our doubts about him in the past, but I think he's a good coach nonetheless. And I think the offensive coordinator is really bright. So then with extra time to prepare, I think that's an easy one for me.
Yeah.
Chargers at the Cardinals. I think the Chargers, they're going to bounce back.
The Cardinals have not showed that they can compete like that yet.
They're not good. They're not good. And also, I don't know if Kyler's even going to be healthy. I said I like Kyler, and I think I'd pay him, but I don't know what I would pay him because I don't know what I'm getting from him week to week.
It's almost hard to, like, if we were to do a quarterback ranking of the entire league,
what do you do with Kyler?
I would have no idea where to put him because there's days and there's games where he plays and he looks like a top 3 quarterback. Like, oh my God, I've never seen a quarterback do that in my life. And then there's the next 2 to 3 weeks that follow where it's, oh my God, he might not even be a top 20 quarterback.
Here's exactly where I'd put him. I'd put him in the category with, like, Jalen Hurts. I'd probably throw Justin Fields in there. And I'd throw Tua maybe. Of just guys that I don't really know yet. I need to see more.
Yeah.
Like, I need to see a lot more.
Maybe even a Trevor Lawrence, but I think Trevor Lawrence even might be a level below that.
I don't know if he's...
Because I don't think...
I'm not even talking skill, though. I'm just talking if I had to group them based on, like, a common denominator.
I mean,
right?
bottom line, Kyler is not the guy.
Well, he's not the guy that's going to like win a Super Bowl, but I think he's like better than most quarterbacks in the league.
Yes, but he's not beating Jay Herb.
No, he's not beating Jay Herb. Like I just need to see more. I need to see more consistency. I need to see more availability. He's hurt 5 weeks a year.
The other ones he's playing COD. So.
Yeah. Double XP weekend. All right, Saints at the Niners. Niners are favored by 9.5. I like that line, by the way. Being at home, I think they're going to run the football pretty easily, and I don't think the Red Rocket is going to go into San Fran and lead the Saints over the Niners.
Not against that roster. No.
Rams at the Chiefs. That's the Chiefs by a lot. I don't even know. I mean, I think that's
I'm not sure
easy.
what the Rams are anymore.
I don't really know. That's a great point.
I don't
really
even
good
know
line.
what to think about them.
Because I don't even know. Is Stafford even playing?
Beats
I don't
me.
know.
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know about the Rams.
I thought Cam Akers was like banned from the facility. Next thing you know, he got some carries last week. You're right. I have no idea what they are. It's Cooper Kupp. It's the Los Angeles Cooper Kupps, but Cooper Kupp's on IR. So who are they?
I don't know. We'll figure it out this week after they get absolutely waxed by the Chiefs.
Here's Matt Stafford playing. You go, I don't know. All right, Packers at the Eagles on Sunday Night Football. It's in Philly, so I'll take. I mean, even if it was on the road, I'd probably still take Philly. I like them better in the trenches, and I think Aaron, when faced with some adversity, doesn't respond well, and I think he's going to see some adversity this week. Pressure in his face, probably going to throw picks. They have a good secondary. Going to be down. Can he respond? I don't think he can. No. I'll take the Eagles by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right, Monday Night Football, Steelers at the Colts. We're both going to go Colts. Psych. We're going Steelers, baby. I've bet against the Steelers too many times. I need to be able to root for the Steelers when I sit down and watch them. I need to be able to pull for my boys. So we're going to manifest this victory. Yeah. Steelers are going on the road, Monday Night Football. Kenny Pickett lighting the world on fire, burning Lucas Oil to the ground.
And that is when they are going to start their tear. They're going to win the rest of the game, somehow sneak into a wild card, fight through the playoffs. And, of course,
I'm putting the rent money on the Steelers never losing a game the rest of the season.
Yeah, I'm going Steelers Super Bowl, stairway to 7 this year.
No, I'm kidding. But what I am going to throw some money on are these next 5 bets. We got 2 spreads, 2 money lines, and then we actually have a player prop this week. One of our first player props in a while. So without further ado, let's get into bets on a budget. All right, first bet here of Week 12 bets on a budget. Let's go with the Giants plus 9.5 at Dallas, right? So Dallas comes off this really, really, really good win. That's a damn good win for Dallas.
Yeah.
Comes off a big win, and conversely, the Giants come off a tough loss, one that they would like to forget about. In the NFL, I said this before, that was the reason I picked Dallas going into Minnesota. That can be an edge for a team. Plus, I think Brian Daboll's a good coach, and a good coach off a bad loss, kind of like a good coach off a bye. Good coach off a bad loss is really, really good. Generally speaking, right? So I will take the Giants plus 9.5. I'm not sure they're going to win. I think I still like Dallas to win, but I like the Giants being able to cover the spread, keeping it close, putting themselves in a position to win the game late.
Let alone, 9 points is a lot of points for a divisional game, and one that's supposed to be pretty close anyway. In my head, I thought it would be close.
Yeah.
Apparently, Vegas wants us to make some money this week.
We'll see how it goes. All right, let's go with Seattle minus 3.5 versus the Raiders, right? So the Raiders, again, another super emotional overtime win, divisional opponent on the road. Seattle coming in off a bye, rested. Pete, a really good coach off a bye. This feels like a nice 10-point win. Pete kind of dominates with the defense a little bit. Geno makes a couple throws, right? They win like 21-10 type of feel, right? That's what it feels like to me. I'll take Seattle over Vegas.
I like that too.
Yeah. All right, let's go with Pittsburgh on the money line. They're plus 122 at Indy, right? So that's your plus money at Indy, and I think it's worth the risk, right?
Indy has shown me nothing that they can compete with even a Steelers team.
Right, and I know they competed with the Eagles and they beat the Chiefs, but I think those, like you said, those are anomalies.
I mean,
those are not.
That does not happen all the time, and Matt Ryan, that whole system, it just looks like everything is hard to come by.
Everything is tough, and it's just one of those games. This is a lot of hunch here. This is just one of those, which I feel like a lot of money lines are, where it's just, hey, we're going with a hunch here.
But these are good odds to make money on a money line.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus 122. If you're plus money, you're good. Yeah. Okay, let's go Chicago plus 194 on the money line at the Jets. We both like Chicago outright anyway,
Yeah.
so I said, screw the 4.5. Let's just go on the money line because they're plus 194. You're going to make a little bit more money.
I mean, if Justin Fields can do half of what he's done in the last 2
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah. I mean, look, the Jets are averaging, I think, under 20 points a game offensively, so I think the Bears can put up more than 20. So I think I like Chicago. I think Justin Fields is much more dynamic than Zach Wilson. And like I said, Matt Eberflus has been able to disrupt these young quarterbacks. He made Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi look terrible. And I think he can do the same to Zach Wilson. And finally, our player prop, the fifth bet of the week. Amon-Ra St. Brown is plus money. He's plus 125 as an anytime touchdown scorer. Game starting here in a little bit. Plus 125 touchdown scorer. Bang it real quick before the books close for the game. Amon-Ra St. Brown plus 125 to score. Look, he's their top weapon through the air, right? T.J. Hawkinson's gone. He's their top, and I would argue only legit weapon through the air. Yeah. He's going to get looks. I think he'll, at least be able to score. I don't think he's going to go off by any stretch. I think he'll be able to get in the end zone.
I like that. I mean, he's on my fantasy team. I know he's on your fantasy team.
Absolutely. I'd love a good touchdown from Amon-Ra.
I'd like a touchdown. I'd like a couple more, too. But, yeah, I like that. A good prop bet. Always good when we can throw a prop bet in to bets on a budget. It happens once in a while, but when it does, it's fun.
We've been doing a lot of over-unders lately. Every time I see a good prop bet like that, I feel like Amon-Ra plus money is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah.
I know that they're a running team, but I think it's crazy to say that he is plus 125 just to score, right? That's just, I think you can throw that into a parlay and you're good to go. It's just like an easy leg, but it's still a dog, so it's going to make you some cash.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to run back through them again, we got the Giants plus 9.5 at Dallas. We have Seattle minus 3.5 at home versus Vegas. Pittsburgh plus 122 on the money line at Indianapolis on Monday night. And then Chicago plus 194 on the money line at the Jets. And, of course, finishing up with that Amon-Ra St. Brown prop bet at 125 to score anytime.
Yeah, I like that. Either way, that is all we have for you guys today. Pretty good episode. If you are just watching this standalone video for bets on YouTube, go up, check out everything that we have posted there. We got our full episodes, everything cut up on YouTube, and then we got our TikTok. Tim is in charge of that. Great content going up there this week. And then we got Instagram, Twitter, all of the usual stuff. You can find all of those links in the description of the episode, no matter where you're watching or listening. It should be in the description right there for you. Either the link tree or the website, either one will take you where you need to go. But guys, thank you very much. Like I said, we have a lot of news coming out for the show as a whole, just kind of the steps we're taking in the next, I'd say, 2 to 3 weeks. 3 weeks being, pretty like the maximum, actually.
Right.
So stick around. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you are following us on multiple accounts so you don't miss anything. And that was The Issue.